Hello. Hello, guys. Welcome back to And finally, do the stream with all audio issues fixed, hopefully. Third time's the charm. So far 1-1, UCL in Ilios.
Having this kind of
5, 4, 3,
around the McCree, they are running a Farah as well, UCL, which is looking really good.
It's quite refreshing to see stuff that isn't that meta, and also since we've had the recent patch, it's kind of hard to say what is meta, and it's good to see kind of variety, and anything so far might work. We have no way of knowing.
And you see the UCL taking the wins and Ryan here, it's kind of like not usual, but definitely lacks the synergy and character to work with. So I definitely see how that's like.
Yeah, it may be the key to cracking Imperial, or it may be a hardware we don't know yet, which kind of makes the games a lot more exciting. And so far, and it's got them the point control, and GZ is under pressure. But as I say that, Mental Boom absolutely booms Nitrogen and Disha, who's trailing right behind. Luki Q cleaning up Duros Davros, and just as quickly as UCL has got grips on the point, they're going to lose it.
And the Widowmaker is getting a little space because they have a Reinhardt instead of a Blue. Really harassing the Widowmaker a lot more effectively than a Reinhardt.
You can send your Winston ulta, but with this comp, like, there's not much support, there's nothing really to help. If Widow grapples into a team, what do you do?
You've got a lot of heal from the Mercy as well, so you can kind of just fly over to the Widow to build help. And we do see this.
Ooh! Hydrogen! It's gonna get res, but that long shot's gotta feel good. And now with the barrels kind of set up and ready to go, UCL walks right in, and despite the incredible damage that it's done into Garfield, it does not secure the kill, and it's put UCL into a position where they look like they've won this fight. Duros Davros on his patented Winston pick. You'll notice he always wears the banana skin. The reason for this is the banana skin simply just gives you powers. That's the only explanation really that's necessary. I don't think I need to go into that any further.
I am liking kind of holding from the UCL is building up here. They're pushing into this fight with 4 ults, nearly 5.
Well, half of that has to be due to the fact that they just won the fight with so little committed. Heinhoon gets one, and it's a 1-for-1 trade because Mental Boom yet again popping off, killing the Mercy, and he's really done a good job on this map. Hydrogen and Durios, though, both in contention, making sure that we don't only talk about Mental Boom. I want to make sure that their names are in the ballot for MVP of the map.
I have to admit, Axies has done a lot of work. Like, he's really got some picks of his coalescences, not necessarily using it just for healing, and really kind of making those coalescences very...
And it feels like he always has it up. Always has it up, because even now, even though he used it pretty recently, he's already at 96. So hopefully, you know, we'll see another big value one, and heading into final fight territory, that could be huge.
Yeah, and it allows for his tanks to play a lot more aggressively.
It looks like Imperial kind of in a last spur of the moment has changed comp, but this might be a huge mistake. And it looks like they've lost both tanks. The Dragon gets 2! This is incredible! UCL just with this unorthodox comp completely dominating. Genius with the 2 picks. They didn't! The coalescence we were looking out for wasn't even necessary. So with the first map done,
play of the game.
honestly, I mean, I'm not sure how they managed to get that to work as well as it did, because on paper, that comp should not be as strong as it is.
As it is, yeah.
You should be able to punish the the Winston a lot harder, or rush the Rhine, but it feels like maybe Imperial hadn't made up their mind on which one they wanted to do, because they had the Widow there, the Pharah, which usually kind of tends to bring you towards not necessarily slower play, but more looking for a pick and then always gonna shout out the support.
I am always gonna shout out the support.
I will say, I mean, every player honestly on both teams, impressive plays all round.
Oh, definitely.
Mental Boom, despite Imperial losing on that third map, put in a showing. I mean, Immediately you saw UCL switch off that pharmacy, just not even going to touch it.
even gonna
In fact,
try.
they never attempted. On the first map too, we saw the same thing. The Hanzo switching off to Soldier. Just, Mental Boom has really kind of got under their skin.
Yeah.
Which, what we know about the Imperial rosters, there are a lot of tank and support players. So to see someone who might not necessarily be a DPS player have such a good showing on DPS is very, very impressive.
And it really shows just how like, flexible people can be. Okay?
Yeah. So the way the maps work, it is loser picks, and Imperial, despite kind of getting smacked by UCL's Ryan Zara, has picked King's Row. You have to question this choice a little bit, right?
Definitely. I mean, King's Row is just, you know, it's the Ryan Zara map, and especially with the meta change, making Ryan Zara a lot more viable, we're going to see quite a show.
So one thing I'm looking forward to is, we were just talking about how Mental Boom kind of put the fear of God into UCL. And he's not even a DPS player, but now we get to see him on his signature hero, the Diva. So if he managed to get that much done on Widow, what's he going to bring out for us now?
Oh, I'm very excited to see that. And I do love when people flex into different roles. I think it really shows just how, you know, flexing can really show off a player and their abilities. So I'm very excited to see this matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. We see probably more of a standard comp now with the Ryan Zara on both sides. Although not the most meta thing, there is a, you know, aggressive push by UCL. This is just going to be a battle to see which Reinhardt goes down a little bit quicker. And it's a 1-for-1 trade, and this is really either team's game. Dorian Stavros is such high charge, outputting damage, and he finally goes down. And with that, it looks like Imperial have snuffed the attack. So we got Coalescence ready for UCL. And on the other side, GZE struggling a lot to kind of match that. Hobvap has got to be the genius's pick on him early on.
You've got to try and get the fire up as soon as possible to really win this fight. That is quite important. And a huge pick of Reinhardt.
Yeah, that gets him down, but the matching Coalescence maybe a little bit too late to be able to keep his team alive reasonably. Ditcher getting 2 with it, and that's a 1 fight. Very, very low commitment, especially since Imperial put in the same effort. What is Imperial looking for? I mean, they have the grab, but so does UCL.
Yeah, I do think that UCL should definitely play off the tires for this next fight.
Grab first from Imperial, and it looks like it's done them a big favor because now they're suddenly on top of it. And he gets a pin. Garfield trying his best to equalize, but it looks like it's just such a high mountain to climb, and unfortunately, it hasn't worked out in a while.
I feel like if they had prepared what ult they're going to use a little bit quicker rather than just letting Imperial just push onto them with a lot more aggression, then that would have been a lot more effective.
I think your point about the tire is a really big one because tire is usually an ult that you want to use early on,
Definitely,
right?
to try and get a pick and then make the fight in your favor.
And again, Imperial gained the first pick. What started off as a good kind of hold from UCL, we're starting to see the cracks now. Maybe, just maybe, this Imperial pick had some good thought into it. And UCL kind of half in, half out. They haven't really made up their minds.
They've really got to regroup here and try and start thinking about what ult they want to use. Perhaps the grab and tire combo would be good.
Coalescence, this may be a little bit too early to use the ult, but he gets the pick. And the tire has come out, and that may be a fight win, and it's huge! A 3K from Genius. Meanwhile, 2 picks in the back, but it doesn't look like that could really tip it in Imperial's favor.
I mean, they still have a lot of ult as well that they can use. They have the Shadow, they have the Grab, they have the Beat.
Yep.
It's really looking in their favor. Having said that, though, Imperial didn't really use that many ults that fight either.
No, they did not. I mean, Charlotte probably overcommitted a little on the Death Blossom at the end, but it has had the kind of reply of forcing UCL to back off more than they want to. They can't hold that initial doorway now. And although they're pushing back in now, that's a lot of space. That's a corner gained by Imperial, a foothold that they may use to push this
I
point.
think we are looking on Imperial's side to try to get the Grab direct combo.
Yep, Shatter gets blocked by Garfield. The dragon goes through on the grab, and it's a huge 5k. That's incredible.
The beat was just couldn't help them.
No,
unfortunately.
it's just so much damage, and UCL, like, they committed more than Imperial. Imperial had what they needed to play. Charlotte, I criticized the use of Death Blossom, but at the end of the day, it put UCL in the position they needed to be for Imperial to capitalize. And now they've got the second point.
Having said that though, UCL do have the ult up to some of the games, but they didn't touch on time.
True. And also, it seems like Ditch is maybe a little bit too impatient with the Coalescence. Oh, sneaky, sneaky. Gets one. And now Imperial has to back off.
I like the kind of aggression that UCL is showing, but I do wish they were a little bit more aggressive there. They might have been able to get picked.
It feels like they're willing to go 80% of the way, but not 100% of the way.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes it can really show its value.
I think when you have one pick, that's definitely one of those moments where you're right. It will give you what you need, but a little bit patience. Ty comes out early and he gets two again. The beat is used to counter it, but it's too late.
This is exactly what I was talking about. Getting that tire in early to try and get a pick and then absolutely miss the fire.
Which is fantastic because all you committed that fight was Tyre. Yep. And on the flip side, Imperial not only using beat but also Coalescence.
Yep.
That's a dream come true.
It shows how effective, planning and knowing when to use one off can be.
So upcoming, the Shatter and the Coalescence for UCL. On Imperial's side, the Death Blossom is close and they should be building a grab, but this next fight, if UCL pulls the trigger early, it's going to be tough.
We have Shatter. We're just going to try and weaken that shield as much as we can. UCL's shield is already breaking.
Looks like there it is!
Huge Shatter coming through.
Gets one, gets two, he gets pinned, but it doesn't matter. The Coalescence is there. Yep.
Incredible Coalescence there.
But what was this? Cup with the environmental on two of them, it looks like.
Is that a Yanni move?
Is that a Yanni move? And this has just breathed life into Imperial because now they have to back off.
That was a huge carry, and I think that just shows how much mechanical skills can really help when the team buy it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're completely right about the amount of planning being very important, but at the end of the day, all right, we'll see a Dragon combo. Both tanks caught in. On the flip side, the grab is also out for UCL, and UCL comes out on top.
Incredible comeback. I mean,
fight is even.
Fight is even.
And it's tilting towards Imperial. The charge is good on Garfield, but Genius with the tire.
Still even though.
Durios Davros is the last hope for a team. If he stays alive, he's got it, but against just Amora with the respawns, he gets it.
That was quite an even fight, surprisingly.
A lot of back and forth. And a lot of ults expended. I mean, you've got the beat from Cup, who has done an incredible job of keeping his team kind of alive in this. Yeah. But apart from that, there's not much on the offensive side of ults.
I do really want to see Imperial pushing it quite aggressively with the beat. I mean, they know that UCL don't have any ults.
The beat comes in. Is the speed in? Yep, boosts in.
Hopefully getting a boot.
But it looks like Garfield goes down, Genius goes down. The aggression is working for them. And Durios gets focused down and he goes down too. Just, this is it. This is what they needed. You were completely right. Aggression on the beat shut down UCL. One hitty shatter. Oh! Oh no! Garfield comes in. This is a chance. Are they going to manage to hold this? This is a panic defense. And one by one though.
Having said that, they did get under a minute. So
under a minute.
Even though they get overtime on their push, that does give them a very good chance for winning this.
This is a bit of a repeat. You weren't around for it earlier, but the previous game, Team 1 versus Team 2, UCL, the only map that they managed to take was King's Row, with Imperial initially pushing just under a minute.
Incredible.
So is history going to repeat itself? Yeah. Are UCL going to smack Imperial and win King's Row?
I'm very excited.
So now the current score, 1-0 Imperial on the series. And they have pushed all the way. But to be honest, I mean, it felt like we had
ready for battle.
Sorry about that. We had a small delay. It looks like on the attack side, this has to be a meme, right? They're not going to go They're not going to go Bastion.
I mean, with a Lucio break, I just don't think Bastion would get.
No,
Yeah,
there it is.
there we
Yeah,
go.
Genius is a smart player.
I mean, his Riptide has really had some
Yeah.
great value.
Matching his namesake.
It's almost like he
definitely.
heard me saying to start tiring early, because ever since he started doing that, they were just really kind of holding
Every
him back.
fight. I mean,
Yeah.
there were. I can think of 2 or 3 moments where UCL would not have had the chance they had if the tire hadn't been used so
Most
effectively.
definitely.
So we are looking at a Pharmacy Ash defense. So very spammy.
I'm not that excited about having Pharmacy on defensive, but let's see what value.
I think what they're thinking is if the dynamites get big value and the splash damage from the Pharah, you can just shut people down. But oh, there it is.
And there's Pharmacy.
And now they're gonna push into this. Gongo gets the Reinhardt on the way out. And if they can heal up
Huge pick.
the dynamite, they were too impatient. Even though they got the pick, they rushed into a situation where did not necessarily. Yeah. Res comes through. There's no way to punish it. I mean, it's just impatience, really. A switch onto McCree from the Hanzo is probably smart.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. McCree is a lot more equipped to handling Pharmacy. And they have the coalescence as well to pressure the Pharmacy. I hope to see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, even though Imperial is holding this, right now this looks like UCL has a big opportunity here. And they're putting so much pressure on the Ryan, and he goes down.
That is exactly how you take down Pharmacy. Pharmacy focus their front line.
And Mo goes down, she was 92 on ult. That's gotta hurt. Cuff going in, no fear. But it doesn't look like anything's gonna happen. There's no environmentals that he can play Lucio against to turn this in his favor like he did last time. And you're absolutely right, the coalescence was so clutch.
Definitely.
Grab early. This may be a bit of a early trigger pull, especially with a barrage.
Yeah, the barrage is definitely not needed. But having said that, they still have. Oh, they've used about to.
They've used about to.
They still have the shadow up their sleeve, so hopefully we can try and get some value from that.
And now they do have control of this this archway, which I think for especially for Ryan's Ari comps is so important. If you can hold someone outside this archway, you will have a huge advantage. And the tire gets 3! Incredible!
Absolutely smashing Imperial with these tires.
These early tires are getting such value, it's incredible. And now Grav is ready, Shat is ready, Coalescence and Beat. You have to imagine High Noon is not far away. This is great for UCL.
I do think Imperial should start thinking about how they're going to counter this tire. If they're failing to kind of destroy it, they should maybe consider getting a Baptiste. You know, even wasting immortality on that, but not getting 3, either kills off their team.
I think at the lowest kill count we ever saw was 1 kill, and the highest is 3. So the shadow lands on nothing. And now Garfield's turn. And there it is. That one's a little bit bigger. 1 or 2 of them get away, but it does look like this fight will be won by UCL. That being said, the Bob gets the kill, and Lukey gets a kill. Another kill from Bob. The res comes through, so suddenly this is tipped. And UCL forced to use Grab in a situation they might not have liked. Garfield is so low, he cannot push into it. Coalescence coming out. And you know what, Imperial heard I cast a curse UCL. I cast a curse in them.
I do think allowing the space they did without being aggressive to the Ash and Mercy actually lost UCL this fight, because they allowed the res to get off, and then they're already at a 3-man advantage just off of that.
Yeah, just suddenly the scales tipped, and it just sent them spiraling down. That being said, Beat, Coalescence, and High Noon all there. On the other side, all you really have is a barrage. You might be able to build an Ash. You might be able to build a Grab.
They do have the grab, but Barrage
Mirage gets 1. He's trying to get the second. He doesn't, but that's all he needs. Finishing blow on Hydrogen.
I personally feel like UCL should really start thinking what ults they're going to be using in the team fight. They almost seem to just kind of allow Imperial to push onto them and kill them.
This game has really been a story back and forth of one team decides for a little while that they want to ult first.
Yeah.
They get huge advantage, and the other team kind of makes their mind up on that. And the High Noon's going to get 1. As far as you've got to be tracking that. Hydrogen really getting some clicks in. And even though Mental Loop's high energy and uses his grab, he just doesn't get the value he wanted. And this time, like we said last time, UCL just decided to ult first.
They saw an opportunity. They knew the Pharaoh would be playing in the sky, and they decided to use High Noon. And just winning a fight over High Noon, and I think Coalescence is
Coalescence was used later to clean up, but
quite effective actually.
yeah, good economy.
Definitely. They've grabbed Shatter and Sky, which kind of you can win off one of those.
Yeah. Here comes the grab. The counter shadow is through, so that might keep them alive, but a beat is massive. The beat from Axis literally keeping everyone alive, and Genius! Come on, man!
I never thought Junkrat was an OP hero
Yeah,
until I watched
no,
Genius play.
clearly we're playing the wrong CPS
We
here.
are.
He's every tie is getting value. Imperial has to do something to shut this down from UCL.
I think Imperial playing Ana Mercy again is kind of, there's nothing really they can do unless Ash shoots the tire. But if you're really planning how to get a good tire, then that's not going to be like that.
You need to land a direct hit from far or a shot from the Ash, and those are both actually harder than they look. Or
Definitely.
Fire Strike, alternatively.
Immortality is just more.
It looks like... Oh, what? From that distance, I was about to say, Imperial started off that fight quite spread out. And they were looking like they might lose it, losing RL early. It feels like him and his off-tank work quite in sync. But a good grab combo shuts them down.
Definitely. I do think UCL should try and get them all up now. They are quite good.
If I was UCL right now, I'd go aggressive, try to force out the Valve. And to be honest, I mean, Imperial don't have ults either. This is a neutral fight, really.
Definitely a neutral fight.
The Ryan goes down, slets, but he does not get punished. Dynamite takes out the McCree. And that's all Imperial needs. Honestly, this is a game of inches right now.
I do think Moira, especially against Dynamite, would be maybe a lot more effective than an Ana. Kind of,
You got it mixed up.
sorry, never
No,
mind.
it's alright, it's alright. We are looking at a Shatter and a Valve. So this fight is kind of what was previously a even fight of no ults either side. Now we're looking at Imperial getting a bit closer to one or two of them.
Hopefully Durios can build up his grab quick.
That's true. That's a big thing coming out. The grab, the high noon. Honestly, now that I'm saying it, although UCL's a little bit behind on some of them, they're closing in on that 70-80%. And the big shadow! He gets 3, it looks like. And that's all they need. Cleanup. So efficient.
I feel like Garfield's shield is breaking before they can actually reach the fight, which might make, maybe they should consider how they're going to reach the fight a lot quicker.
Yeah, they need to do a better job of making sure that Garfield can manage his resources, because there's just so much pressure coming in. He doesn't have a choice. Okay, the barrage. Let's see if it gets shut down. Looking to make a move. The Tire and the High Noon both out. The Tire gets the Farah.
Did you know that Junkrat is a fire counter?
It's famously Junkrat, you know, the best Farah counter in the game. Genius probably in a little bit too deep there, just out of range. Once Stitcher's Coalescence runs out, you just can't keep him alive. And it's a fight won from UCL, but at what cost? You use the grab, you use the tie, you use the Coalescence, High Noon.
I do hope to see UCL being aggressive with the beat and then trying to play for a shadow after the shield flow.
Yeah, this is very much the same story as what we saw. Garfield solo, and it forces the beat out. Are they going to make the most of it?
I'm not liking it. They're kind of passive. They both
Oh,
use
that shadow gets both supports!
I do think we should consider a lot more aggression on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the beat was just, they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's going to be it. Imperial. It's just lack of aggression from UCL. And
Definitely. I mean, once that beat goes through, you just got to push.
what could have happened differently? What could we have seen differently from UCL? Because Imperial has managed to absolutely boom them.
I think maybe letting the Reinhardt know we're going to beat this fight, we're going to play aggressively, just push all your resources in, because that kind of Reinhardt passive play, I don't want to say lost in the fight, but it's allowing the team to get the maximum value they could.
Yeah, and we see a huge combo here. The grab committed from UCL, but the 5k coming out before you have the chance to do anything. Yeah, honestly, it felt like, although Imperial was just better at managing what ults they wanted to use, and were kind of earlier to the ult fight.
Definitely.
So now the score is 1-1, and we're moving into our final map. It is UCL's choice. I believe it's going to be either ice score or 2CP. I'm not certain, but it's strange because what we thought would be UCL's advantage, these close quarters brawly comps, to Imperial's more dive-oriented comps, actually ended up being the other way around. we saw that Imperial did a better job when they had Ryan Zarya than when they were forcing dive into UCL's almost semi-dive.
I feel like Imperial prepared for that and kind of played with like a very spammy comp to stop the kind of aggression that perhaps UCL were looking forward to.
Yeah, I think because when you're playing against a spam comp, the strategy is usually all or nothing. You either go as far in as you can, just try to get those kills, or you take your time, look for picks, kind of create opportunities. And UCL were just a little caught in between. Yes, they were getting more value on their individual ults. The ties were massive every time. Probably more shadows were coming through, but it's close. They were getting just marginally more value on ults, but at the end of the day, it's not a game of individual, it's a game of team. And the team coordination, the team play from Imperial was consistently beating out UCL. So we're going to take a quick 1 or 2 minute break while we're choosing the map. So bear with us and we'll be back in a second.
Traveling to Havana.
And we are back into it on Havana. So, UCL's choice, what do you think kind of motivated them to pick this map?
I do feel like they are struggling to deal with the Pharah, and they are aware that Havana is a very kind of sniper-heavy feel to it, and very long sight lines, which will mean that playing Pharah will be very difficult into it.
Yeah, you have to imagine that they might be, I mean, I don't know if they're playing like 10-dimensional chess or not, but if I was UCL right now, I'd be very worried about the Pharah. So picking a map where the snipers are a bit, heavier means that maybe it'll make you switch some heroes again. I was going to say maybe it puts mental boom back on the Widow, which does scare you a little bit. But as I say that, it looks like that has not happened. Hydrogen famously a good Hanzo and Mei player. So it looks like they're kind of going for the previous meta kind of strategy, slight variations on the support and DPS line, but
I would like to see maybe the Sigma switch to a Reinhardt just because of the meta changes and the new patch updates, making Ryan a lot more effective in Sigma.
Yeah, I would agree, but I mean, I think for both of them, I think the thought process behind the Sigma is they're expecting the Pharah.
Okay, fair.
In which case, I think they just want to do whatever they can to make sure that Pharah gets no space. I think they're about to get a kick in the arse when they realize that the Pharah is not coming out. On the flip side, Ryan D, but this is usually what people would consider the current meta, at least close to for some comps. It's going to be interesting to see how it stacks up against this traditional double shield. Early on, Imperial making good ground, but UCL only really trying to fight them at this corner. And now the wall comes through. The Ryan is isolated, but the team comes in deep to help him. And with shields going down, it's kind of just UCL desperately trying to manage their resources, make sure that Imperial can't get close to them for free at least.
They should definitely be playing this, especially with the mirrors, which they have been doing so.
Ult comes through. The rock does not get any, and Ryan again is isolated by this wall, but there's a small gap. Meanwhile, Luki gets the headshot onto Moira. So this is red flags, red alarm bells ringing, fear coming through, and Imperial doing a great job of cleaning up. I think that's one thing that they really have. When they win a fight, the aggression is almost instant.
I do feel like the Mei Wolves would have been have a lot more value if they had Reinhardt to really kind of capitalize on them, and which they are actually switching to Ryan Zarya now.
They heard you.
They heard me.
You're speaking too loud. Clearly.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so in this close quarters environment, it might actually be better. They've switched the Free, I believe it was, to a Junkrat. Genius has really shown a lot of value on it, so it's hard to argue with that.
Definitely.
So what is happening right now? It feels like they're not sure where to go because they're spread out a little bit.
I think they are worried about the shadow that's coming off the dragon.
Yeah, there's a lot of ult on the Imperial side, and there's the shadow. That's huge. The nade comes through as well. Dragon maybe an overcommitment, but you know what? It doesn't even matter. You win the fight, you're happy. Genius being the last surviving member of UCL. Desperate trying to get out, and he gets him in the trap.
I think UCL should be kind of thinking what ult they're going to be using this fight. Like, coalescence is one thing, but you really got to have some kind of either a shadow or a mail to really capitalize on.
Oh, Genius, no! Maybe a little bit of impatience there again. Not really respecting the fact that Imperial did know he was there. So, now the beat is there, the mail is there. If Mental can eat the mail, this will give Imperial such a huge opportunity. And RL gets frozen, and he goes down. finally they're able to kill this Reinhardt. The Shadow comes through with no RL to block it. They've got nothing to worry about. Pin on the bobs, keep him away from the team. But Luki and Charlotte doing so much. This is just back and forth. Both teams DPS getting such high value. Genius has consistently done an incredible job on this Junkrat. And he's once again the last player alive. No ult use from Hydrogen, and you have to ask why.
I do think they are definitely holding on to this male for far too long now. GZE was managed to kill the last two and really, you know...
I mean, I'm not certain, but I think part of the reason was they weren't ever in a situation where they had to fully commit. They got the nice early easy pick. They thought they could just get through it with raw aggression, and Imperial did a very good job of trickling out their ults, being very smart with it. And UCL never decided to kind of go in a bit like a blood hammer and just saying, no, we win this now.
Sometimes you just have to put in the ult to win the fight, even with an early pick.
You need to put your foot down at some point, and it feels like UCL isn't comfortable yet with doing that. So now another opportunity for Mental is to eat the Mei ult. Riptide has come out early, and finally, just finally, Luki makes sure that Tire is not wiping his team out. The Dragon gets one, and the Mei ult is here, but it may be late. It's 1-up for Imperial right now. And the fight is tipping in their favor. Duriel's Davros desperately trying to melt down this D.Va, but he's not managed to do it. Nano committed. Imperial doing such a good job of making sure that he does not go down. They do not want to risk
I
it.
think Duriel was definitely like focused on demecking the D.Va so he can get a free round for the next fight.
Yeah. And it feels, yeah, Imperial is just much more willing to commit hard to keeping someone alive. And I think UCL is a little bit more hesitant to do so.
And by committing, you're actually building up those ult charges again, so then you can just roll with the team.
That's right. Just making sure you win the fight and getting those kills to be such a fun. Luki again, just making such a good case for MVP of this map, definitely. Because every time he's been getting an early pick. Mental boom! Gets two, and that's got to be it. Right? There's no way that this turns around unless, as I say, Genius kills two. How would the teams manage to flip this around so much? Genius has been consistently
getting value on
getting value. Oh no! Oh, tragic. Seeing a baby D.Va left alive. On a personal level, that hurts me.
And on a personal level, I love sleeping D.Vas to stagger them.
Okay, the Baptiste ult is ready. The Coalescence is ready. If they fire strike through this, that's a 200 damage fire strike. That could be an instant kill on any non-tank hero, pretty much.
You have to remember that they do have a D.Va, so it's up to...
Oh, Luki again!
Maybe too focused on getting a Matrix up there.
RL is getting... The aggression between RL and the rest of his team feels like it's a bit mismatched. I think he's not quite used to playing with a D.Va, but he doesn't get the same amount of, frontline support as he normally would. And UCL this time, I think they really learned their lesson, because the moment RL went down, it was an even fight. They committed Coalescence. They were not taking that risk. They are doing a very good job now of kind of making sure that they're not going to get caught out again.
So they are going to try and play for the Dragon here, Imperial.
Yep. And with the D.Va switching to Zarya, if this fight doesn't pan out, they may have a chance to build a Grab Dragon combo. And all you've really got to counter it is the Riptide time. Meanwhile, though, Hydrogen gets picked. Riptide getting no value, so Imperial has learned to stop this. But the pick on the Moira means the fight's already won. Bob is ready, and honestly,
wow.
The war chest that Imperial is sitting on right now is very frightening, and it's time to kick it off. Bob goes through, Dynamite in, and it's forced out the immortality. The Dragon gets Genius, and now the Rhine goes down, and the Bob is doing the rest of the work. Grab is through, but you do not have the teammates alive to make this happen. Coalescence is up, but that's way too late. It feels like the team is just not, there's just too much hesitation there. It felt like UCL had finally learned to commit, but
maybe a bit too much, yeah.
Maybe a bit too much, and Imperial, patient, building up the bank.
I respect that though. Imperial really took the time to take those dry fights to give UCL,
they were willing to be like, we'll give you a minute, but we'll take the map.
Definitely, yeah.
And then at the end, they just cashed in, and honestly, when you're staring down the barrel of 5 ults, what do?
Just use all of them.
there's nothing for UCL to do really. I mean,
they baited out immortality quite early, which I quite like. Then they went for the dragon, which got a pick on that.
yeah. So you maybe if you're UCL, maybe you wait a little bit longer to use that immortality. It was used in response to Bob. I don't know if that's necessarily.
I mean, everyone was quite low, especially Dynamite with a Bob can be quite deadly and someone can get picked off. So I wouldn't necessarily say, I would say it's more UCL trying to plan how they're going to counter each ult. They know they have a dragon. Maybe they should play more split, but not split enough to get picked off by the snipers.
It's a tough one because when you have so many ults to deal with, it's very difficult to kind of allocate strategies, especially in such a dynamic game as Overwatch. Yes, you can start the fight with a plan, thinking, let's use immortality for the dragon. You know, let's make sure we have this for the grab or this for the shatter. But the moment the fight starts happening, and you know one of your players gets really low, maybe you're Moira with a coalescence, do you then not use the immortality and risk it? You know,
it's very situational, especially because I play a lot of BAP. Sometimes you have to waste the immortality early, but then you'd have to let your team know. And the thing is, it's all about teamwork in this kind of situation. You have to say, all right, they have a dragon, I don't have immo. You should try and play a little bit more split.
It's just so much, so many variables to have to worry about all at once, and it's so difficult to figure out. What do you worry about? What do you allocate to?
Definitely.
Is it worth, like, when do you take a risk?
So we are seeing the Winston Reinhardt UCL.
It worked in the past, and with the Genji, Hydrogen in the past, a Genji player though, who no one's really a Genji player anymore. He's moved the Ana off high ground, but maybe committed a little bit too deep without fully realizing what he was jumping into.
I like that Ana is hard here. Definitely one of the most vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, you have one or two people kind of. You could go for the DPS, you could go for the Ana, but Hanzo and Ash both have better escapes and will probably hurt you a lot more. Garfield already has the shadow. That's incredibly fast. So RL's 57, we're gonna see it. There it is.
Huge
What
shadow.
a play!
Absolutely dominating.
You know what? You can't even be mad about the fact you lost the first fight if you're UCL, because while that was happening, Garfield just went on a mission to charge ult. And the moment he got that pin on that Reinhardt, the fight was won.
What I really like about UCL is that the Ana and the Reinhardt seem to be on the same page with the level of aggression. You know, the nano coming through, the charge going in, the shadow absolutely destroying it.
A lot of bleed damage coming in from Durios on the Winston, and he has the primal. The coalescence has been used. Is he going to use it? Yes, he does. He's going to make sure he goes for the two up top, but the sleep hits him right in the forehead. Little known fact about Winston, that's his most vulnerable spot. He's awake again, and is Imperial going to commit this grab? The point is almost capped, and it looks like they are not. At least they better not, because not much value anymore. Garfield is so aggressive on this right now. I almost feel like he's more aggressive with a Winston than he is a D.Va. Than a Zarya, sorry.
You still have a lot of work coming up as well.
You have the Nano Blade, that's the big one. You have a Shatter in case that doesn't work out.
And the Dragon as well.
And yeah, you have a lot of things to...
Hero has Shadow Ground.
Coalescence early. Maybe a bit too early because UCL is still moving the cards. And they're going to back off soon.
I mean, they've already got 2 picks, so they should try and play a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if they're rethinking here or...
So I have to ask, the Hanzo for Imperial has switched to mode 3. I don't really see the reasoning behind that, considering you would have grabbed Dragon otherwise.
I think maybe it's the appeal for the Ana, but maybe she's having a hard time from the Winston. Having said that though, we do see a switch off of Durios to Zarya now, so maybe that McCree pick isn't going to give them a value.
Yeah, I mean, Nano Blade comes out, but the grab is on him! Oh no! Dragon comes through, it doesn't get any, but it does get them very low. The Shadow comes and it hits one. They're now cleaning up, and that's an Imperial win.
What I really like about Imperial is they knew that they didn't have anything to counter a Blade. They didn't have a beat, they didn't have a chance or an immortality. They thought, let's just grab the Interblade, you know?
Yeah, I would do the same. Meanwhile, we could hear in the background, I don't know if it'll come through on stream, but Mental Boom screaming, Hanzo! At the top of his lungs for a good 10-20 seconds there. While the Hanzo is sitting full HP, not being shot at by his team.
Genius back on the trap.
Big Shatter hits! That's incredible! That play was actually set up by Ditcher. Gets to sleep on the Zarya while the Ryan goes to guard the Zarya. Garfield makes sure to get the rest of the team. And all you committed was a shatter, and you win that.
Incredible.
What a good play. Honestly, it felt like they weren't fully tracking because RL can't leave his team out in the open like that if Garfield has shatter, because we've seen Garfield hit those every time.
I do hope they try to nano the Genji to try and farm up the blade again. I mean, I know sometimes, wasting it and not being synergized with the combo.
I think they use it on the Reinhardt, which is not a bad idea. So I would say it would be, that Riptide's getting, that Junkrat trap's getting a lot of value. They slept the Rhine, and that Nano Zarya is going to do a lot of damage, but Duriel Stavros is 100 charge, and the point has been capped. Oh, economy-wise, UCL has been doing a very good job. Better than we've seen, I think, in any of the two maps.
The Nano really helps to get shatter as well, so...
Yeah. So they have shatter, they have grab, they have beats, they have the tire, again, which we've seen big things come from, but maybe not as much on this map. But on the flip side, also grab, and a bob, and a Heimer. So this is going to be a lot about, how the tanks play around each other. Is Garfield going to get the shatter off? Who grabs first? What's committed to the grabs?
I do hope Genius gets a pick on the tire as soon as possible. And then...
Hydrogen is in Imperial's backline right now, as far as I'm aware, and he is taking damage. So he's definitely keeping someone busy. But if he goes down here, Imperial will definitely use that kind of as a sign to trigger him.
Is tire coming through?
He needs to get at least 1 or 2. He gets 2! Bob gets 1, so this is an even fight right now. Grab gets only Durios, and he gets charged away from his team. RL finishes him off, he's half HP. Genius is getting a lot done. Junkrat is all I can hear. Kill the Junkrat! Kill the Junkrat! Genius again is doing an amazing job. I mean, it just feels like, much like UCL didn't have a solution to Pharah, Imperial doesn't have anything for the Junkrat.
But I do feel like that is partly on Imperial. Like, they know they have a Junkrat player. They should probably try to find a way of doing it.
Well, there's your answer. Chase it down with a D.Va. It's that easy. Grab eats him! Mental Boom eats Duriel Stavros' grab, and the blade has been committed. Nanoblade gets 3. Despite the eat, it's not enough. Hydrogen says it doesn't matter that my team got messed up, I'm gonna mess them up.
Even though they lost, like, Mental Boom really popped off there.
That eat was very good, but you know what? It doesn't matter because UCL, we've been talking about how patient UCL had been and how good they've been with their ult economy. That much like Imperial, by the time it was the end of the round, they had built up the war chest and they just cashed in. They used everything. You eat my grab, that's fine. Meanwhile, my Nano Blades just killed 3 of you. You don't have the Zarya anymore, so you can't grab him. Your D.Va's not going to do anything to him.
I feel like Imperial weren't expecting that kind of sheer aggression, especially after losing someone.
It's honestly, it feels like, I don't know if UCL is secretly listening to us, because it feels like every time you've brought something up that they need to change, the changes come through. That being said though, Imperial only about a minute behind, and depending on how this first attack goes, they're definitely not out of this.
I am a little sad that I haven't seen kind of either team taking the fight right at the beginning, because it is, especially in tier 3 scene, very common to hold at the outside of sport, because it's very hard if you play that correctly to break that.
I know, so you and I have had quite a bit of experience playing together for the London Lionhearts Arena Clash, and I know that we've definitely practiced stuff like that where we just, I would say most teams, in the tier 3 grassroots scenes as well, have really just learned to camp outside here because you can buy a minute of time.
Literally, if it's for some maps in the tier 3 scene, they've taken 2-3 minutes off our timeline. Just holding that close. And you actually get 3 fights in this map, which makes it just a lot more valuable.
Exactly. So now, the Reaper for Imperial, he's going to be looking to get behind and get some picks, get some action.
I do feel like a little bit early, but...
Okay, now they got to focus down the Rhine. I can hear the calls. Feels so loud. Imperial filled with confidence. And once again, Pharah, the bane of UCL, Imperial doing such a good job of making it work.
I would like to see UCL get a sniper, especially because it's Havana and they are struggling against the Pharah. Yeah.
Luki has been consistently a superstar on Pharah. He's made, even if he's not getting the kills necessarily, even though he definitely was there, he's making UCL's life pain. a small disconnect from UCL as to when they push. Duriel Stavros going in a bit earlier than the rest of his team.
Yeah, I would definitely say grouping up here and maybe not pushing through high ground because they do have Barrage and they should have been aware of that.
Yeah.
Maybe pushing on like left or right because there's a lot more cover and you can kind of scout where the Pharah is rather than just pushing in blindly.
Walking out a door and
Yeah, and she's right above you.
and look behind me, it's you. Anyway, so now, ult-wise, Imperial's doing a great job. The nano on Rhino Zarya will probably build them the tank ults that they need. And UCL a little bit more worried. They don't have the ults they need to kind of decidedly win this.
Yeah.
And it is one fight territory now, you know, overtime ticking down. It is important for UCL to be able to crack this, and they've decided to pull the trigger. Oh, the shield cracks right as the shadow comes through. Big Tire gets a pharmacy. The nano on the Zarya, she gets the grab off. No, the grab. And wait, it's a wipe. Incredible. So much happened there. Wow. I'm stunned. There's so much back and forth. We had a big commitment from UCL. It doesn't pay off. The shield broke for Garfield with about a millisecond before the shatter hits. It wipes out UCL. Genius gets another insane value on the tire. The nano on the Zarya wipes half the team with a huge grab. But meanwhile, Genius and Axis are just cleaning up. And it didn't matter that, you know, the Imperial had built the grab first, that had built the tank ults first, because even though their ult economy is better, and they've been doing a better job of building their ults, they are just not getting quite the same number of kills, as especially Genius has on this tire. What does Imperial do? Because that is, I mean, granted the time bank, UCL has a big chance. They're going to go Bastion comp.
I think with 2 minutes on their time bank and the extra 30 seconds you get when you cap first point, they definitely have a very strong chance. They are running the Bastion here as well.
Yeah. I mean, Pharmacy will have a tough time with this. The Soldier, I think, is... Why Soldier, actually?
Yeah, I mean, Soldier's definitely good against Dive because he can self-heal himself, and I'm not quite sure.
Do you think they were expecting the Winston? And we're just trying to run away from him?
I mean, I would definitely love to see a snipe on the high ground hit from Imperial.
Yeah, but it does not look like it's going to happen, and the main Bastion is going to probably be a thorn in their side unless they can shut this down quickly.
Pharah's really got to try and take some off angles to counter the Bastion.
Yeah, and here comes the rush, but it does not work. Pharah putting in so much damage, but you lose both your tanks in the meantime. Duriel Stavros actually doing some good work on Sigma, making sure to kind of keep them all trapped in, make sure the damage is not going through. And you had this problem here that Imperial set up so well. They were all playing around the corner, and the moment that the distance was kind of, that they closed the distance, they try to rush them. But if you have a Pharmacy and you have an Ana, your tank simply cannot close that distance in time.
Definitely, yeah.
And so Hydrogen, before they even started killing the Bastion, Hydrogen already killed right. Much more distance, and that wall is huge. That wall is huge, and it looks like, unfortunately, Hydrogen's quite far back on the cards. He's struggling to get anyone who's sitting on the front end. But that's where the rest of his team's for.
I do respect, funnily enough, the Bastion pick here from UCL because
I don't know.
I mean, it is kind of a little bit old meta, but they are bringing back something really unexpected. I just don't think Imperial were expecting a Bastion, and that kind of threw them off a little. With the Mei walls coming through, really like isolating the team.
I respect how well the Mei has been doing. Genius has done such a good job of isolating targets and making sure that Hydrogen can get the damage in. But this is it. Final fight, a big Bowers wins this. Bowers gets one, but it is the Bastion. Shadow comes through, cleans up the rest, and you've won the fight. UCL wants to die fast, and Imperial is in a really good spot now. 13 seconds to go. Used Mei ult, but it doesn't get anyone. That is a mistake. When you're the last person alive, you cannot be using ult like that. 2 seconds, and there's no way that Imperial doesn't win this. There's no way they don't win this because they just have so many ults now. They have the Nano, they have the Valkyrie, and incredible! What a turnaround, and that's it.
I think Imperial.
GG.
Amazing matches.
Imperial's so loud.
I do think like holding onto those ults and just kind of letting them rush in onto you, especially when you're playing Bastion and you want to keep the distance, was one of their big mistakes. Not using ults and
Garfield
dying.
player of the game, as we hear loudly. Let's see. This was the aggressive play we saw. It was such good aggression.
This type of aggression is just
The sleep
really
comes
hard to
through,
deal
but
with.
someone woke it up. That's gonna be frustrating. Not that it mattered.
But it was a very, very close match between UCL and
So,
Imperial.
what do you think Imperial did better? Number one thing.
I don't know, maybe because I can't really hear their comms, but I definitely feel like they communicate every time they regroup. What
You
ults
can't hear
they're
their
gonna use.
comms. I can hear their comms from over here.
They definitely communicate what ults they're going to use, and they decided to play that level of aggression UCL were previously showing. Maybe with the Bastion comp, UCL couldn't utilize that kind of aggression, and they didn't
Yeah.
really know what to do. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for watching. That will be it for this stream today.